Hi everyone, today we'll be talking about how to write a major scale. You'll need a good understanding of whole steps and half steps for this to make sense to you. I have a video on that that's linked in the description below. The previous video was an introduction to scales and harmony. It might be helpful to you as you get started with scales to know about chromatic and diatonic collections. You can check that one out as well. A major scale is a diatonic collection of pitches in note name order based on a specific pattern of whole steps and half steps. That pattern is whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. If you're in the UK, you might be used to saying tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone, but I'll be using the American terminology. Here is a C major scale. We can see that we have our note letter names in order: C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and C. We begin and end on the same pitch. We can also see our order of whole steps and half steps. C to D is a whole step, D to E is a whole step, E to F is a half step, F to G is a whole step, G to A is a whole step, A to B is a whole step, and B to C is a half step. Note letter names in order in our pattern of whole steps and half steps. That's pretty easy to see in C major with no sharps or flats. Let's look at another example, B flat major. Our note letter names are in order: B flat, C, D, E flat, F, G, A, and B flat. We also see our pattern of whole steps and half steps. From B flat to C is a whole step, from C to D is a whole step, from D to E flat is a half step, E flat to F is a whole step, F to G is a whole step, G to A is a whole step, and A to B flat is a half step. Same thing, note letter names in order and our pattern of whole steps and half steps. We can observe those things, but how do we write a scale when we need to do it ourselves? Here is a two-step process. The first step, write 8 pitches on the staff with consecutive letter names. We'll begin and end on the same pitch. And the second step, follow the pattern of whole steps and half steps by adding flats or sharps, not both. Let's try it. Here's G major. Let's do our first step. We'll write 8 pitches on the staff in consecutive letter name order: G, A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, beginning and ending on the same pitch. Now we'll have to alter one or more pitches to make this a G major scale. We can write our pattern before we start. We'll write our W's and H's between the notes. So we'll have whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. From G to A is a whole step. From A to B is a whole step. From B to C is a half step. We're good so far. From C to D is a whole step. D to E is a whole step. E to F is actually a half step, so we have to raise that F to F sharp to make it a whole step. And then F sharp to G is a half step. We've done it. There's our G major scale. G major has 1 sharp, and it's F sharp. Let's do another example that deals with flats. E flat major. The first step is to write our pitches on the staff in consecutive letter name order. We'll start with E flat. I'll go ahead and put the flat on it so we remember this is E flat major and not E major. So E flat, we'll write our names in order: F, G, A, B, C, D, and E flat. We begin and end on the same pitch. This time we'll be dealing with flats. Let's write our pattern: whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. We'll have to alter some notes. E flat to F is a whole step. F to G is a whole step. G to A is actually a whole step. We want it to be a half step, so it has to be A flat. A flat to B flat would be a whole step. B flat to C is a whole step. C to D is a whole step. And D to E flat is a half step. There it is, E flat major. It has 3 flats. Now you might say, I see 4 flats there. We're not going to count our E flat twice. This will lead us into learning key signatures. The key signature for E flat major has 3 flats, and those flats are B flat, E flat, and A flat. A couple more examples. A major, we'll be dealing with sharps this time. The first thing we'll do is write our pitches on the staff in letter name order. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and A. Let's write our pattern of whole steps and half steps. Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. Let's get to altering pitches. G to B is a whole step. B to C sharp would be a whole step. C sharp to D is a half step. D to E is a whole step. E to F sharp is a whole step. F sharp to G sharp is a whole step. And G sharp to A is a half step. A major has 3 sharps, F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp. One more example, D flat major. We'll have D flat, then I'll write E, F, G, A, B, C, and we'll end and begin on the same note with D flat. Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. Let's get to altering notes. D flat to E flat is a whole step. E flat to F is a whole step. F to G flat is a half step. G flat to A flat is a whole step. A flat to B flat is a whole step. And B flat to C is a whole step. And C to D flat is a half step. 5 flats in D flat major. As you're practicing these things, I would encourage you to play them at the piano or on another instrument. I think it really helps if you can visualize the piano keyboard, see the pitches on the staff, and hear the sound of the scale. Put all of those things together. You can't expect to learn it by osmosis just watching the video. You actually have to do it yourself. I hope you've learned something today. I have study notes and a practice quiz that go over everything that we've talked about. They're linked in the description below. I hope you'll check it out. The next video will deal with key signatures and the circle of fifths. And then after that, I have a faster way of writing a major scale once we've learned some of those other concepts. I'm looking forward to those videos, and I hope you'll join me then.